All right, good morning, everybody. My name is Jason Taylor. I am the principal at Platte Valley Middle School in Kersey, Colorado, and I'm also a part-time administrative consultant with TeachUNITED. And I am here today with Kris Gallo, who is the outstanding principal at Christa McAuliffe School in Concord, New Hampshire. And we're just here to visit a little bit about kind of how TeachUNITED has been for her school. So, Kris, just to start, tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about Christa McAuliffe.
All right. Hi, Kris Gallo, like you said, principal at Christa McAuliffe School in Concord, New Hampshire. We're an elementary school, kindergarten through grades 5. We have around 360 students, and they come from a variety of backgrounds, some high socioeconomic and very low socioeconomic. We are a small city. Compared to some other larger ones that folks are used to. Our other 2 cities in New Hampshire, Manchester and Nashua. So we're probably the 3rd largest in the state. And so we also have a wide variety of ethnicities also within our school.
Well, before I get into the meat of the questions, tell us a little bit about how you came in contact with TeachUNITED and how you learned about what we do.
I saw the TeachUNITED opportunity come across the Department of Ed newsletter that comes out periodically, and it seemed like a great opportunity for us. And we already knew we would qualify for grant funding based on our status of an ATSI school, which is additional targeted supports and interventions. Our students, specifically a cohort of special ed students, really struggled in the literacy component of the state testing. And we knew that we just needed some supports around helping our staff with that work with students. And the way TeachUNITED described the program, we just knew that it was absolutely the right fit for us at the right time.
Well, so Kris, tell us a little bit about the challenges that you face in your school and community.
Well, in the school, like I said, reading has become a big part of our focus with kids. So that a few years back when our special ed cohort did not reach level of proficiency, and we ended up on this list through the Department of Ed, we knew that we needed to really put a lot of focus and professional development into our reading. And we have an extremely smart staff who has always done extremely impressive work with students. And because of COVID, we had really backed off of a lot of professional development district-wide. Teachers, administrators were exhausted, and we were trying to give ourselves a break. But we knew we needed to really dig in and dig into reading. And we wanted to also figure out with our special ed population, what were the most appropriate, most effective ways to teach reading and teach all subjects, really. We know our special ed students are typically average to very high intelligence, but they learn differently. And so we've always wanted to fully understand how to teach every student in the most appropriate ways to see maximum growth for them.
So I love how you said you started out talking about how you wanted to boost reading and then specifically working with special ed populations, but then you mentioned how the overall goal was to teach all students better, and that by working on those 2 things allowed you to have better instruction for people. So how does a program like TeachUNITED help you address those challenges that you just talked about?
Well, we had the first work we did before TeachUNITED was we attended professional development to establish PLCs, professional learning communities. We've been doing that process for a few years now, and we definitely have seen growth in terms of our teachers' practice, growth in terms of our students' learning, but it hasn't had the significant impact that we expected it to have. And reflecting on that, with the teachers, it was the instructional piece that we realized we didn't spend enough time on in our meetings together. So, Jason, how did you teach to that standard so that your kids came out so high on that assessment and mine didn't? So we knew we needed to spend more time on our instruction, which was something that we hadn't focused enough on. And meanwhile, that's when TeachUNITED kind of popped up, and our assistant principal at the time, Carol, and I both knew that this professional development was exactly what we needed at the right time, because we had the right structures in place, we had the right mindset in place. We just needed that extra piece that TeachUNITED has provided.
Kind of looking at those instructional practices and strategies that you were, and specifically high yield instructional strategies, the kind of things that you put out there that generates the kind of results that you wanted to see. Can you give us a couple of examples of high yield instructional strategies that you have seen used since your time with TeachUNITED that have had a big impact on your kids?
Well, we're not there yet in terms of what we've done full staff. So Carol and I did the administrative piece last year. We're
Okay,
the
got it.
ones that received the professional development. We are now kicking off our first year of the 6-teacher team being trained.
Yep.
We've just identified those 6 teachers. We did a kickoff staff meeting last week to introduce one of the more significant pieces that resonated for me and Carol, which was Hattie's highest impact strategies.
Okay.
And
Yep.
so a couple things that resonated for staff from that were collective teacher efficacy. And, what does that look like? How do you build that? How do you maintain that? So that was of high interest to staff. Obviously, response to intervention was very high on Hattie's list. Other people thought about Jigsaw. Why is that so high? And I want to know how to make sure I do that effectively, so that obviously it's so high for a reason. So people have said, I want to learn how to do that.
What is it about TeachUNITED's program that you would say sets itself apart from maybe some of the other training experiences that you've had?
A few things. One, the one that I love the most is that it's professional development which I'll speak a little to in terms of the topics that are outstanding, but it's the fact that it's not just professional development given to you and good luck, go do it and implement it, and you'll probably see some good results. The team doesn't go away. the TeachUNITED team said, well, we're going to teach you as administrators year 1, teach the 6-teacher team in year 2, and we're going to come in and do this with you too. We're going to work with you in your buildings in whatever structures work for you. They're just flexible enough that they'll create their schedule around us and come in and work with all staff around the 4 domains: the mindset, authentic engagement, personalization, and meaningful data. And those 4 components were they're excellent domains to focus on, because it's not just about the students or the adults, it's everyone and what you're doing together. So the mindset is not just about kids thinking they can learn, but it's about teachers truly believing and helping kids to believe in themselves, and do some goal setting with them, and looking at authentic engagement. Just because kids are busy, is it meaningful what they're doing? Personalization, making sure that all boats rise, and that we're not just focusing our work on just one type of learner. And then the meaningful data, we've been practicing that, but we want to make sure that we're looking at the right data and making decisions about our instruction and next steps from there.
Absolutely. That's a great testimony, Chris. And I would want to speak to that. Was one of the things that drew me to TeachUNITED as well when my school got involved with them. Was you mentioned earlier that you had the right structures in place. You just needed the instruction to go with that, and that TeachUNITED is willing to work with your school and what you have set up, so that the training that they do is going to fit within the structures that you've already designed, and therefore the chances of that taking hold is so much greater because it fits with the culture within your school.
You said that very well.
I thought you said it better. Recap it. So last question I'm going to lob your way, Chris. As you're looking at this year and getting started with your teacher cohorts and whatnot, what are your best hopes and your goals for this year in your work with your teachers and with Teach United?
Well, the fact that I reached out to 6 teachers and kind of described. Teachers knew the work Carol and I had done together last year. And then when I reached out to them just last week and described what their role would be as part of a 6-teacher team to receive the same professional development, and then to roll that out to their colleagues and be teacher leaders, the fact that people jumped on board and just said, we're in, I was ecstatic. That was my number one goal, was to put together a team of leaders and emerging leaders that staff would respond to. And the fact that I feel like I met that goal so easily, I'm just so fortunate. So my hopes are very high that the impact of this work is really going to be significant for both staff and students. So the structure is that year one, the 6-teacher team is trained, and then year 2, they roll it out to staff. So I asked in our one of our last meetings with the TeachUNITED team, could we kind of do a hybrid? I hesitate to roll it out to staff this year because we really need this work, and our staff is ready. So we are kind of doing a hybrid of the 2 years. And so my goal is to work with the TeachUNITED staff to, make that a smooth transition. It's not necessarily what the program was designed around in terms of its structures, but the fact that the team is flexible and wanting to do that with us, and had great ideas once we started talking about it, I'm really hopeful that we're now going to have 2 years of the full staff participating in some pretty important professional development.
Yeah. And once again, speaking to the flexibility of the overall program to work with you and your school to find what's best for your staff and your students. Wonderful. Well, Kris, I wish you lots of luck and good wishes this year. I'm so excited for you and the journey that you have ahead of you. And I see how excited you are about this right now. And I think your school has wonderful things ahead. So thank you so much for taking this time to share with us today. And best of luck with an awesome school year coming up.
Thanks. Same to you, Jason.
All right. Thanks, Kris.